Welcome everyone to another holiday top 10 list here for you, our tier 2 and tier 3 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for supporting us. This is Thanksgiving week, and so Brett Erlich, who is graciously filling in on the top 10 list. Brett, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. I needed to swallow at the time that you said that, so it was like this weird collapsing of my
extra saliva because you're thinking about food.
It was just like a vacuum. There was a vacuum somewhere in my nasopharynx, and I couldn't work it out.
Okay, well, you got to take care of your nasopharynx first of all. Anyway, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite Thanksgiving foods. Whatever does not appear on this list, apparently we just really don't care if it's at Thanksgiving. But this is, while every holiday in some way is really about eating a lot of food, I think of this, Brett, as being the best like palate, like the expected foods you will eat. I think that 4th of July is probably a close second, but this is great, the foods in general. So I had no difficulty filling my top 5. Did you?
I had no problem coming up with 5 foods I liked. The hardest part was only having 5 foods.
That is, I think, the most important part, the ranking and the exclusions.
Yes.
Because a lot of people their number 1 might not even appear on our list, and they're gonna feel really bad. So we get to produce that right now.
Sorry in advance to pecan and pumpkin pies.
Oh, a little spoiler alert there. What's your number 5 then?
My number 5 best Thanksgiving food of all time is cranberry sauce in the shape of a can. Many people hate it.
Specifically?
It's only cranberry sauce in the shape of a can. If you like cranberry sauce at all, you're kind of lying. Unless it's cranberry sauce in the shape of a can, because I think it is the most symbolic of Thanksgiving. Some people love it. Some people absolutely, positively hate it. That gives it points.
Yeah.
It's a conversation piece every time. And any conversation you can have with your family that doesn't revolve around politics, race, gender, all of the hot button issues that put you against Uncle Ralph, the better. Yeah. It is cramming so much into a convention, which is the can, like whether it looks good or bad or whatever or not, that's what makes it so Thanksgiving. Because you're cramming all this stuff that probably shouldn't be this way. There's probably a better way to do it. But we just do it because it's familiar and we know it, while they're cramming the cranberries at 99 cents, maybe 58 cents a can, depending on how close to Thanksgiving you go. Because I've bought it on Thanksgiving Day and it's half the price. We are cramming all these family members into one home at a time. It ain't pretty, but you either decide to love it or hate it. And that's why cranberry sauce in the shape of a can is my number 5. It has to make the list, but it's definitely not 4 through 1.
It sounds like your family ends up in the shape of a can after being crammed in. Yeah, so I, as a kid, loved the can stuff. And I thought that what I thought of as the Twiggy variety was disgusting, that had the stems in it. I have, my palate has changed over time and I can now take it. And I knew that I had made it as an adult when I could have both at Thanksgiving. That is luxury. I basically am Elon Musk when it comes to that. But what I love about it is, like, it's such a simple thing to demonstrate the gap between the modern iteration of a holiday and the mythical origins of it. Like, you think of Pilgrims and Native Americans sitting down to share food, and now you just have like this tube that wiggles. Like, that did not exist back then.
But it's so modern because it's also it fits into the oddly satisfying category of Snapchat story.
Totally. Well, my number 5 is not cranberry sauce. My number 5 is going to be the pies that have already been maligned by Brett Erlich. So pies are at number 5 because they're pies, but they're at number 5 and not higher because Thanksgiving has kind of the worst pies. Like, I like pumpkin, but it's not great. like you have to put ice cream on it or whipped cream to make it kind of palatable. It can make you sick if you eat too much. Pecan is like, seriously, you don't have anything else to make a pie out of? You're going to pecan? I just don't think, like I guess you can have apple, but it's not like the apple pie holiday. So I think it's still pie. I will still eat it and eat too much of it. I will in a few days, but they're not sending their best pies when they send them to Thanksgiving. But still, pie.
I appreciate that. I thought, John, I thought you were slighting it because any pie's a good pie. I thought that just like going into it, Johnny Pie, all the pie stuff. But I didn't realize the other edge to that sword is that you would have very, very passionate opinions within the genre.
Yeah, and vis-a-vis pie.
No one could have expected John coming down against pies on this.
Yeah, well, it is number 5. It's on the list. Okay, yeah. With that, what's your number 4?
My number 4 Thanksgiving food on the dinner table during the holiday is turkey dark meat. I would say that light meat turkey is not best eaten on Thanksgiving. Light meat turkey is something you're convincing yourself that you like, and it has no flavor. And if it does have flavor, and I would say that light meat is best enjoyed the next day on a sandwich where you put everything on top. So it technically, I would argue, is not a Thanksgiving food. It is a Friday football fun food.
Oh, you just made me think of something I forgot. No, okay, that's gonna be my bonus.
Oh, there's a bonus? I was not allocated a bonus round.
You can have a bonus.
Well, then I have a bonus to pick.
Dark meat turkey. Interesting. I didn't expect so specific, but I respect it. I don't love dark meat turkey.
The dark meat turkey, if you can cook your turkey leg to the point where like specific muscles come off together, like a giant, and then you gotta chop off the cartilage that's trying to be part of you. That's like earn me. You get to eat it. You get to eat it like a freaking savage, like fully savagely.
I don't hold a turkey bone. That's not how I do turkey on Thanksgiving. But perhaps we'll talk about how I do turkey on Thanksgiving later on.
It makes you feel little.
That's true. I do like going to Renaissance fairs for that reason. Anyway, my number 4 is going to be creamed corn. I have always loved creamed corn, and the reason I love creamed corn is, so I got a new board game recently called Abomination, and basically you're creating a companion for Frankenstein. You're taking human remains and maybe some animal parts, and then you're turning it into this like dark version of a human. It's an abomination. And creamed corn is technically a vegetable, but it has nothing to do with vegetables anymore. It's terrible for you. It's so creamy. It's nice and warm. It's like a vegetable it was like the only vegetable I liked for the first 33 years of my life. And you only really eat it on Thanksgiving, and it just fills you up and makes you feel good. I love creamed corn. I like regular corn too. And it's barely a vegetable even in its default setting, but no, you're not buying creamed corn?
The only like appropriate word you used in this like segment on creamed corn is the word abomination.
But you think it tastes bad?
How can we take corn, which is good, and add a texture that makes you feel like
you've already
they've soaked the corn in some kind of amphibian's defense mechanism?
That's fair. That's not fair.
So foul. Marissa just wrote, so foul, I can't even have my camera on. Cream corn.
Like corn?
It's like, it's.
Feel judged now.
Cream corn. Like, hey, Big Bird, could you jizz in this corn?
Okay, what's your number 3?
Could you whip out your cloaca and just ooze non-specific reproductive fluid on this corn to create a base?
Here. What's your number 3? What's your number 3? Don't judge me.
Cream corn, it's like, oh God. Sorry, it's just like feeding a lot of people milk to get the right kind of loogie that they can hawk into the thing. Like, this is better if you drink whole milk. Okay.
I hate you.
I hate cream corn. I don't hate it, but it's just like, what are
you some cream corn?
Okay, sorry. I'm like actively choking down. Gross up. Stuffing. Let's get it back into normal. Stuffing. Stuffing's fantastic.
Okay.
Stuffing, dressing, whatever you want to call it. We're talking about like the bread pudding of America, right? We take bread in a triumph of American ingenuity. Maybe it was invented somewhere else. We take crusty old bread. And John likes to take juice and put it in corn. Creepy. I like to take juice, get it in there with the bread, and you get your own kind of sausage and celery. It's delightful. It's one of those things that when you describe it to someone who hasn't had it, they're like, "What are you doing with? Is it croutons and meat?" And the answer is no, it's not. It's delightful and fantastic, and you're gonna love it. If you can get the right crisp on top and keep the moisture on the bottom, like my lovely wife knows how to do, you can eat that days later with great success. Stuffing is the number 3 Thanksgiving food of all time.
Okay. I am going to answer your previous turkey dark meat with my number 3, turkey white meat. You said it has no flavor.
Racist.
I think it has a subtle flavor. And I think that is enough. But also, it is the canvas that soaks up the flavor of the other food around it on the plate. A little bit of cranberry sauce on one side, maybe a little bit of gravy or mashed potatoes or stuffing on the other side. And it soaks it up. And that it creates sort of a melange of Thanksgiving flavors in the meat. And it's juicy and it's good. And it's not the strongest flavor, but honestly, like, do we really want our meat to taste a lot like the animal? I think it's just good. It's filling. It looks good. I don't know. What do you think?
You don't need it? I get your argument.
Prefer it.
I don't prefer it. I used to growing up before I was like, oh, food can taste like stuff. And I like that food can taste like stuff. I totally understand your argument. It's a good argument. Your argument is a winner. It's undeniable. People use this. Without turkey, there would be no Thanksgiving.
That's true.
And I appreciate that thought process and value you ascribe to it, even though, and it's fine. And I do like it because Thanksgiving makes you think of like when you were young and eating dinner. And for me, it makes me think of like, when I was young, I was like, well, I'll have the white meat turkey because it looks like slices. That's what I thought. We didn't really slice the dark meat in ways that it just ended up being a sloppier cut. So I was like,
the dark meat looked more like it just was pulled off of the bone, whereas the white meat would be sliced. That's totally true. It's probably a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number 2?
I love that you phrased your argument for light meat turkey this way, because mine is a superior argument to that focuses on something that ends up going and helping out other meats and foods on the plate, or other things on the plate, mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay, you're combining the two. Okay,
the two together, mashed potatoes and gravy together. You know when you were in elementary school and they had the volcano thing and it was like you suddenly had a volcano working? You make little volcanoes out of mashed potatoes and gravy. You can build things out of mashed potatoes. You put the gravy in and you have a moat. You just created a diorama on your plate, a moat. And those two together swoop in and alleviate the dryness of your turkey. They swoop in and they combine with your stuffing to give it a taste that the makers of the stuffing wouldn't even know could be brought out, in addition to the fantastic flavors that you roasted into that over however long it takes, magic number of minutes. The mashed potatoes is going to take anything that Mama, Papa, you, anyone else around there screwed up in making Thanksgiving dry. This is the magic salve to solve those problems.
I Yes, I like it. The gravy definitely does. I think that mashed potatoes are good on their own, and the coolest thing about it is, even more so than stuffing, you can just take like a bunch and just have like a mound. You don't often get to eat a mound of food, but you can eat a mound of mashed potatoes and gain a lot of weight probably.
It started as potatoes, and most of it is butter and milk.
Yep. It is good. I'm not disagreeing with you there. It is good. I will be eating quite a bit of that this Thanksgiving. My number 2 though is more of a personal one. It is my Thanksgiving recipe that I make. Brett, do you know what this is? I'm not sure that you've had it.
A tower of donuts.
No, not that, although that sounds pretty good too. No, this is my yam casserole. It is sweet potatoes. It is oatmeal. It is cranberries. It is brown sugar. It is a layer of marshmallows, and then it's toasted on the top, and it is so good. It's basically dessert. Let's keep it real, but you can eat it during the meal. It's like pie that you can eat, and it's not like, oh, he's going back for more pie. It's so good. It's got like the tang of cranberries. It's got like the creaminess of the marshmallow with the toast on top. I've made it so many times now. It's not common enough. It is so delicious.
My friend, I've never had it.
It's good.
I'm just going on your description of it. And there's a term called gilding the lily. You have a beautiful thing like a lily, and you think you have to do more stuff to it.
What's the lily?
The lily is a sweet potato casserole.
But why not put marshmallows on top?
That's fine. The cranberry is where I'm like, there's cranberry sauce on your plate. What are you doing putting cranberries in there? You can source those elsewhere. That's part of the fun
element,
right? Which you can do or not.
Right.
Like that's part of the fun. What I'm saying is your number 2 is stealing fun out of Thanksgiving. I like to put things on my list that add fun to Thanksgiving. Yours is like, no, you don't gotta go get that cranberry sauce from the west side, the western quadrant of the plate. It's already on the plate.
Perhaps it is the dish that stole Thanksgiving, but it's also delicious. Well, Brett, that only leaves one. What's your number 1?
Which leads me to my number 1, sweet potato casserole.
No, it is not. Really? Wait, so what's the sweet potato casserole without what I've done?
I'm glad you asked. You can find Epicurious's mashed sweet potatoes with brown sugar and pecans.
Caramel flavor, butter and eggs. What? I might have to
this maple sweetened casserole has a brown sugar and pecan topping that bakes into a crunchy candy-like crust.
That sounds pretty good.
This is take your marshmallows. Bend over and I'll show you. You know what I mean? Bend over and I'll show you where to put those marshmallows.
When you Google sweet potato casserole, you see many that have marshmallows on top, by the way. They might have pecans, which I don't do, but it's brown sugar, it's marshmallows, cinnamon.
John, you and I got busy with some Peeps pizza. So I'm not against the rando placement. And in turn, there's way better places and more commonly acceptable places to put marshmallows.
Yeah.
Please see sweet potato casserole. But there's something about this where the top of it does turn into this candy.
That is nice.
And we have, the last couple years has just been us. Maybe my mom was there. And now, and in each of those, leftover rounds that we would do, like the best thing about it days later was this sweet potato casserole that you can eat cold, but definitely when it's hot on Thanksgiving, it does have a crush. You get like the same way when you're making cookies and you're like, why would I change this brown sugar into anything else? You get that feeling. It's fantastic. And so sweet potato casserole from Epicurious.
Okay.
Link in the description. I don't know if that'll happen.
So make my one, but if someone brought that, I would not necessarily be against it.
There you go.
Well, that leaves for me my number one, and there's still a couple big things I haven't mentioned, but it was fairly easy for me to pick my number one because if this was the only thing, I would still be mostly happy, and that is stuffing. And I don't even mean, you were talking about like homemade stuffing, I think, which I like. My friend Quay is coming over. He's gonna make his homemade stuffing, which has like tons of meat and stuff. And before it cooks, it looks like the most disgusting thing you've ever seen in your life. Like I was very scared, but then it ended up being good. I literally just mean stovetop stuffing. I could eat like 3 boxes of stovetop stuffing as my Thanksgiving dinner, and I would never be happier. It is so good, light and fluffy, good with gravy, doesn't require it. You can do a mound of it, and we all know I love mounded food. It is like multiple flavors of Thanksgiving in one big pile, and I love it. I've always loved stuffing.
I'm with you. Mounded food is great. Food moats are also fantastic. That's why I love mashed potatoes and gravy, and I also love like California Mexican food places where it's just like a moat of beans. With cheese on the top, just going into the edge of the plate. That is too hot for you to touch. Oh,
that's God bless. I think we like culinary architecture. So that's my number one. I do want to throw in my bonus, which you made me think of, and it is the day after Thanksgiving leftovers sandwich, which is maybe my favorite food in the entire universe.
Yeah,
Capriati's makes one.
I was gonna mention that. Like in July, when we would order food, there's this like chain of restaurants in LA called Capriati's. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but they have the Bobby, I believe it's called, where apparently someone named Bobby just was like, I want Thanksgiving today. It was July, and John gets that every
It's a sandwich with cranberry sauce, stuffing, gravy, turkey, probably other stuff too. Oh, those leftovers. Thanksgiving food is almost all better the next day. It's weird how that works. Anyway, well, thank you, Brett, for joining us for our top 10 list. I hope you have a delightful Thanksgiving.
I did have a delightful day today, and thank you for those wishes. Same to you and yours and everyone who works on the damage report, except for one person. You know who you are. You know what you did.
I don't.
I always say that.
But all of you at home, thank you for supporting us. I hope that you have a delightful holiday. We'll have more for you once we come back to the break. Thank you.